Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be my HSG test experience, and I really want to talk about this experience because it was an experience. It's been a long week. I've been at the doctor's now like 4 times this week. I have to go today as well, and I am just so done of being poked and prodded. It's been like a roller coaster. It's like all over the place. So anyways, for those of you that do not know what an HSG test is, I will put the name right here. It's a long name, but they are going in there to just check the opening of your tubes to see if everything's open and there's no blockage, to see if there's any fibroids or polyps or anything like that. It's an x-ray of your tubes. So basically I went ahead and did my blood work. I did my follicle count, and those are done on day 2 and 3 of your cycle. And then my HSG test is done on the day 7 to 10 of your cycle. So that was this Monday to Wednesday. My insurance actually covered up quite a bit of this, which was really nice. And they actually sent me to IHS here in San Diego. And that one I couldn't get an appointment until Wednesday at 3 p.m. So I got that appointment. I was calling all week last week to try to see if they had any other appointments available before Wednesday, because my calendar was telling me I was going to be ovulating on Friday. And I knew after this procedure, or from what I just heard at that moment, was that there was going to be some bleeding afterwards and stuff like that, and you don't want to have, intercourse or anything like that. So to me, I was like, oh my God, am I going to be missing the cycle? I'm not going to be able to try. And that is so gut-wrenching when you're trying to conceive. So I was trying to do whatever I could to get this appointment for Monday. So there was another facility, because my fertility clinic gave me 4 facilities to be able to go to, but my insurance with Scripps could only send me to IHS. So I called one of the other facilities on Friday, and they said they had an opening Monday morning. And I was like, oh my God, Monday morning, this is perfect. So I called Scripps and I said, is there any way that we can get my insurance to approve me for going here, since the time and day is better? And so they were doing whatever they can to push everything through for me. So Monday comes around, and just so you guys know about an HSG test, they will prescribe you doxycycline for 3 days that you start the day before your procedure to prevent any bacteria or infection to happen. And then they will prescribe you some type of pain medication. So I was prescribed 600 milligrams of ibuprofen. So basically Monday, I go in there to Sharp Outpatient Pavilion, and they tell me that my stuff didn't get approved, so I had to pay out of pocket. So I paid out of pocket and went in there for my procedure. I met the technician. She was really sweet, but I felt like she was new. And I was just like, oh, you seem like you're new to this. So I got kind of like nervous there, because I was like, okay, hopefully this doctor isn't new. I get all situated, everything like that. They go over the process with you. I've already watched so many videos at this time, because at first I thought this was totally like an ultrasound, and I didn't even think anything of it. And then all of a sudden they're telling me on the phone, we're prescribing you doxycycline and ibuprofen. It's going to be a little painful. I'm like, wait, what? I was so confused, because I thought this was like an ultrasound thing, because we only spoke to our fertility doctor a month prior to this, and she kind of just like threw everything at us. And this was on the phone because of COVID, because you couldn't really go in there and meet with them yet. So it was just like kind of thrown out there. We're just like, oh God, okay. And then I find out what this HSG test really is, and I'm like, oh shoot. So I start researching a ton of videos, and I'm watching a bunch of stuff. And so my anxiety was pretty high for Monday. And the way that he was doing the checklist and going through everything, it felt like he was so new, you guys. Like I have a good sense of people. Like I can read things and read situations very well. And I got that sense in my gut that he was new. I was like, you seem like you're inexperienced. I was so close to asking him, how many times have you done this procedure? That's how much I felt like he was like inexperienced with it. And I should have gone with my gut, because like usually like my gut is always right, and I'm just like, just get up and just walk out. But I was on pain meds and everything, so I was like, okay, let's just see what this is gonna do. So he goes over everything. So in an HSG test, what they do first is they stick their little things in you and they open you up. And then what they're going to do is they're going to insert a catheter, and on that catheter, there's a little balloon on the end of it. So that is going to go through your uterus, and then that is going to have a tube there, and he's going to stick some iodine dye in there, and that's going to go through your fallopian tubes. So they're going to be, while they're doing this, they're going to be doing an x-ray over your stomach, and they're going to be seeing if your tubes are blocked or if there's any fibroids or polyps or anything like that. I'm laying there, he's going through, doing everything. He starts trying to put the catheter through. Honestly, I think we did this for about 15 minutes of him trying to get the catheter through. He thought he got it in one point, and he tried blowing up the balloons, tried sticking in the iodine, tried taking pictures, but iodine just kind of came spilling out because it wasn't through. It just wasn't through. So then he tells me that the catheter kept buckling. It wouldn't go through, that it was too hard, that it wouldn't go through. And then he tells me that since I had a baby already, because I have a 20-month-old daughter, and the balloon wouldn't expand enough, and it wouldn't work. Basically told me that. So I was like, okay. And then he goes, we can keep trying. And I was like, yeah. I go, let's just keep trying. I go, I'm not going through, I didn't pay for nothing, and I didn't go through take a pain pill and go through all this for nothing. So just keep trying. And so he grabbed a different catheter that was a little bit stiffer and to try to get it through, and still couldn't get through. This is all over a span of an hour. Let me tell you, like me laying there with legs up in stirrups, and this is a span over an hour. So basically he couldn't get through, and then he tells me something different. He goes, your cervix is tilted, and so you're gonna have to go see your OBGYN. They're gonna have to grab it with forceps or dilate you and make it go straight, and then stick the catheter in. Then you're gonna have to come over here and we'll have to do the procedure. And then he tells me that he goes, oh, there's a polyp right here in the opening. That is probably maybe your reason of not getting pregnant. And I'm just like, what? Like, what is going on right now? So now I'm freaking out. I'm like, is something wrong with my anatomy that he could not get it through there? Like, now there's a polyp there. Now that I'm like, could this polyp have been like my reason why I haven't been able to get pregnant? Is this polyp the reason why I had a miscarriage in December? Like, my mind was everywhere. And I was pissed because I was like, I feel like he just couldn't do it and he was just making excuses. So anyway, so I made an immediate appointment with my OBGYN. I ended up getting in with his assistant. She's really nice. So I saw her on Tuesday and I told her everything. And she's just like, she goes, he can't really make the diagnosis that the polyp is probably in the way of you from getting pregnant. And then she goes, this just sounds so outrageous. And I told her, I go, I feel like he was new. She goes, it sounds like he was. She goes, you know what? Let me just check and let's see how everything looks down there. So legs up in stirrups again, checking down there. And she goes, okay, so I see what he's saying right here. She goes, this is not a polyp. This is just extra growth tissue. And that usually happens after having a baby. So she goes, that is not anything that I am concerned about or that I would remove if I was doing a PAP or if I was doing an IUD or anything like that. Like, I would just leave it alone. It's nothing. She says that and she goes, I can see what he was saying about your cervix. She goes, it's not tilted. It's actually just kind of to the left a little bit. But she goes, it's normal. So she goes, can I just try to get the catheter through to see if I can get it through? And I was like, shouldn't I be on a pain med or something? Because I heard that this is going to hurt. She goes, it's going to cramp a little bit, but if you don't want me to, I don't have to. So I was like, you know what? Just do it. And I still had my HSG test booked for Wednesday. Because remember, I was trying to get that earlier time on Monday. Well, I still left that one on Wednesday because I wasn't going to cancel until I was done with my HSG test on Monday. And thank God I did that. Otherwise, I would have probably missed a cycle for an HSG test. So she tried and she did it in 30 seconds, you guys. Like, literally, like, quick, done. And it was the most mild period cramp ever. Like, it wasn't even anything. I was just like, oh, okay. That was like the most mildest period cramp I've ever gotten. So it was just like, that was nothing. I go, why do people say that this is so painful? I was so confused. And she's like, well, she goes, you know, everyone has different pain tolerances. You might just be like a really big champ there. And I was just like, okay. So it didn't really hurt, but she got it right in. No problems there. So I went and did my HSG test on Wednesday. Today is Friday right now. And the facility was different facility. I went to different doctor, different everything. So got in there. The assistant with him was really sweet and really helpful. I could tell she was so knowledgeable too. And I was like, you've done this a lot. I was like, yay, glad to see that. So she was really sweet. I told her about my experience and she's just like, oh my goodness. She goes, where was this at? I told her it was like Sharp Outpatient Pavilion. I tell you guys, do not go to Sharp Outpatient Pavilion. Stay away. Stay away. don't go there, because I also called my fertility clinic and they said that they just had someone call about a similar experience now. So don't go there if you live in San Diego. So anyway, so I saw the doctor came in, whole procedure, everything going, right? He gets the catheter in just fine. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to distribute the iodine. So when they put that catheter through, just to talk to you guys about my experience and the pain and everything, it's really nothing. Like, honestly, it's really nothing when the catheter goes through. You feel a little bit, like you can feel the balloon kind of blowing up in there, which is kind of interesting, but it doesn't hurt. This is where the experience is going to be really more personal, and it's going to come down to if your tubes are semi-blocked and whatnot, or if they're blocked. If they're semi-blocked or blocked or anything like that, it's going to hurt. It feels like a contraction. And if you are not blocked, you probably won't feel anything or barely anything at all. So it's really going to come down to your anatomy. So definitely take a good pain pill before you go in there and just breathe. Like, it's like the same thing if you're going through childbirth and you're getting contraction. Once you're getting that contraction, take the deep breath and breathe. The more you tense up, the more painful it is going to be. So that is my best advice right there. And that's what I've learned through going through childbirth and going through this. But this, oh my goodness. So basically, totally fine there. Starts putting the iodine through. Like, okay, all right, this isn't so bad. I got a little cramping. And then, boom, my stomach just contracted. And I was just like, oh my God, this was so painful. It felt like my worst childbirth contraction with no pain meds, no nothing. I felt like I didn't even take anything. I was in so much pain, but it's quick. It's quick. And I finally was like, he was doing it, and it was like that for a little bit, and probably like 30 seconds or so. And I just told him, I was like, you gotta stop. I am going to hunch over. And I think what made it harder was the fact I couldn't go into that fetal position and hold my stomach, because your legs are up in stirrups and you're laying back. So I just like cramped and I couldn't do anything. So that's going through. I'm like, okay, you gotta stop. I can't handle this anymore. I can't. And so he's like, you're almost done. He goes, okay, it's through, and da-da-da-da. So he takes all his pictures. I sit up to like go over the results with him, and I'm sitting up and I'm just like, I'm gonna faint. I'm gonna faint. And I told him this beforehand too, because I've learned if I go through too much pain, I'm out. Like, I faint. I fainted from a really bad earache at the hospital one night when I went there for my ear was about to rupture. It ended up rupturing the next day, but I was in so much pain, I ended up fainting right there in the hospital. I faint really easily with pain. And I was just trying to breathe through it and stuff, and nothing was helping. So I noticed right when I stood up, I was like, oh God, I'm going to faint. I'm going to faint. So I told him, I knew all my signals because I've fainted so many times in my life. So I told him, I'm going to lay back. I'm going to close my eyes for a second. And I asked him, I only have a water with me, but I go, do you guys have any Gatorade or apple juice or any type of sugar to get my blood sugar back up? And so the assistant went to go find something. He goes, did you eat anything? And I was like, yes, I ate. But I go, when I get my fainting spells, that's the only way I'm going to recover quicker is if I get something like that into my system. So she was able to get M&Ms. And so I just ate a couple M&Ms. And I was like, I just have to eat a little bit. Just give me a second. And I go, just go over my results. I'm coherent. I can see. I'm just going to lay down. So he goes over everything with me. He said that with my right tube, he did the dye and he saw that a little bit of dye was going through the right tube. And then once he pushed more through, it finally was going through the right tube, and then it finally went through the left. So a big thing of why I probably had that really bad cramping was I did have a minor blockage and like little things in there. So that's probably where I felt that pain, because when the dye doesn't have anywhere to go, it just expands in the tubes, and that is the pain. So like I said, if you've got the blockage, it's going to hurt. It feels like a childbirth contraction. So that's kind of like what you'll feel. It's not a period cramp. So with my results, basically, because you know, they're gonna tell you if you have polyps, they're gonna tell you if you have fibroids, if anything, or if your tubes are blocked at all. So mine finally cleared through. So my tubes are clear now. We're good. So they made sure that I was good to stand up. I know my signal, I know my signs. So I knew I was good to stand up. I was like, hey, I'm good to go. So I cleaned up, got out, went with Joel. My stomach cramped for the rest of the day. Like, honestly, it felt like that felt like just regular cramps. And I was bleeding for about a day and a half to 2 days. I finally stopped bleeding today. The first day, I actually kind of bled more than what I thought I was going to bleed. And I was kind of concerned because they told me if you have any heavy bleeding or anything, you need to go see the doctor if you have a fever and da-da-da. But I didn't have a fever or anything. I didn't feel different. I did bleed a little bit more than what I thought I was going to bleed. So, but I was totally fine because the next day was just like, I feel like it was just like iodine and like, you know, just a little spotting here. And then today I am good. I'm not even wearing a pad. Like, I'm good to go. But the cramping, I didn't even have it the next day. I only had it the rest of that day and that was it. Yeah, I just wanted to be honest with everything and I don't want to scare anyone. And I just really wanted to reiterate, everyone's experience is different. It really depends on with your tubes. So a great thing about the HSG test, if you're dealing with fertility issues, is that it ups a woman's fertility by 25%. Like, they have a 25% chance higher of getting pregnant for the next 3 months after doing an HSG test. An HSG test is a diagnostic procedure where they're trying to figure out what's going on, but it's also in a form of a treatment. What happens, and it's kind of like a phenomenon, like doctors really don't understand it, but what they think what happens is when the dye goes through the tubes, like if tubes are kind of like all wonky, it helps them go where they it helps them go in the area that they need to go, get untangled, all that, like it straightens them out. Then what it also does is with the dye going through the tubes, it gets rid of any debris or any type of minor blockage of what the sperm can get caught onto and keep them from reaching the egg. And also with that iodine there, it kind of makes a slip and slide. So it helps them get to where they need to get to. So they see a huge jump in like chances of getting pregnant 3 months, because it lasts for about 3 months. So that was another big reason why I did not want this to mess with my ovulation day, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be my losing one chance and I got 2 chances left. That's like a really big positive to the HSG. So honestly, power through it. You'll get through it. It's quick. Depends with your system if it's going to hurt or not, but it's quick. And that's the biggest thing. And you'll be done with it. But this was my experience. I wanted to share my Monday experience because I haven't heard anyone ever talk about not being able to get the catheter through, which was horrible. But yeah, so luckily I was on a pain med during that time too. So, but it's been a week. So it's been definitely a week. Hopefully today goes better. I will be vlogging and updating, or however I'm going to do the videos. I haven't really decided yet, but I will update everyone on how my appointment goes today and what my OBGYN says. And then next week we will be able to find out what is going on and what our fertility doctors thinks our best form of treatment or what route we should end up taking. But I hope you guys found this video helpful and just stay strong. There are so many women that are in this, and I've been keeping it like locked away of what I've been going through, and I just couldn't anymore because my emotions, everything, I wear them on my sleeve. Like I just could not keep them in. And I really wanted to talk about this experience too in order to help anyone out there and anyone that is searching to see what an HSG test is and what you have to go through and all that stuff. So just hang in there, stay strong, and I wish you guys the best. Thank you for watching my experience on this, and I will see you guys all in my next video.